All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Iman, and today we are going to discuss artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and going all the way deep to neural networks and structured and unstructured machine learning, generative AI. And it's going to be a very interesting topic. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen so you can see what we're talking about today. All right, that's the infinite loop of Iman. So fantastic. Let me go ahead and close this down to the artificial intelligence category. We're actually, very interestingly, in the middle of a winter storm here in Dallas, Texas. That's why I'm wearing my warmest clothing. But I did want to share what artificial intelligence is. It has become very AI is a very relevant word nowadays, is a buzzword, but I'm gonna walk you through artificial intelligence from the very beginning to all the nitty and gritties and the deep dive into what it really means and how you can prepare best for that in future. So artificial intelligence basically is any machine or system that can mimic human like intelligence. Basically, what that means, they can learn, analyze, reason, decide, and execute. And they can do this in a loop over and over and over and over. Now, artificial intelligence isn't anything new. It's actually, a over 100 years old concept. No, not over 100. I'm in 1950s, so I don't know when is that. That's 70 years. Anything past 30 years for me feels like a lifetime ago. But long story short, artificial intelligence started in 1950s, but it really is divided to two main categories. Number one category for artificial intelligence is rule-based AI. And rule-based AI is kind of like, let's say, very simple terminal. It's like a chatbot. So if the user says yes, then the answer is X. If they say no, the answer is Y. And if there's other, then point them to a real-time agent. Try to schedule a demo. It's basically you are trying to create rules. If this, then that happens. And that was cool at some point, but now we're a lot more intelligent than that. And there is a whole other subcategory under artificial intelligence that is called machine learning. Machine learning is exactly what it sounds like, but I do want you to take a second and really imagine a machine. Let's imagine a machine in a company, in a factory, in it could be an automobile factory. And imagine these machines are not now run by people, they're run by their own intelligent that is mimicked by human intelligence, and what we already talked about, learning, analyzing, reasoning and deciding and executing on a task, and doing that in a loop over and over and over. And imagine how quickly they can get better. Machine learning is basically has two main subcategories. And how I would like to divide that is based on classical machine learning, what I call, which is a based on structured data. It is your, let's say, your Excel file, your databases, structured information is under columns and data is under columns and rows. And then you have, predictive. These are like not science. I mean, math is a science for itself, but mathematical um, uh, algorithms and models. Let's put their name. They're called actually models. These are mathematical models, and they're not only any type of model. They're a predictive model. So basically, they're designed to predict the future based on the pattern and the data that was provided in a data set in the past. So they look and analyze all the data previously provided in a data set or in a database, and they go analyze all this data. And based on what has happened in the past, they can make a prediction of the future. And that's why they call them predictive data, predictive modeling. And predictive modeling have different types of learning methods. And I really want you to focus, like, up to this point in classical machine learning is not really about output, is about the input. Is these machines are learning. They're they're not really giving you generating a lot of output. They're analyzing all your data. They're finding patterns, and they have very simple ways of communicating that to the users. Now we have different types of machine learning, from classical structured data, which is one is supervised learning. And we're going to get into details later about, what each of those mean. Supervised learning is one subcategory, unsupervised learning, another one, and reinforcement learning, which is based on rewards. And these are digital rewards if, an answer is, appropriate or more appropriate than the machine, the foundational, the model basically gets rewarded for digital rewarded for that successful execution of the analysis and the decision they have made. So now, the very interesting part is that now going into deep learning, which is the major category of machine learning. And deep learning is basically, um, let's say, machine learning is all about data and data structures. And at this point, is not really, you know, the data is not for uh, user usage. Is more as far as analyzing and gathering this data, putting this data together, and for your machine to learn about the data. But they're still at this point, they cannot really do any kind of generative decision making or action or execution on their own end. They're still learning and giving you feedback based on the data for themselves. But with deep learning, you're getting into a whole new world of unstructured data. And unstructured data could be anything from, you know, um, your images, your videos, your PDF files, whatever that is unstructured in a more image or vague format. And deep learning, it gets into that a lot and more in depth when it comes to unstructured data. And they use different technologies and methods and models, however you want to put it. But one of the main ones, it is neural networks. And you probably have heard, if you are into artificial intelligence, you have heard this. This is designed based on human brain, and it's very interesting how they did it based on assigning values to each node. And we can get we will discuss this in more details as a whole other topic. We're right now just doing a beginner's dive, just trying to understand what each of these mean. So remember, neural network is basically for unstructured data, and we're going to do a deeper dive later into what each model needs, like CNN and RNN, which are very popular models right now. And then you have foundational models, which they are still um, being trained. They're training models. And most importantly now, a new type of model, which is generative AI. And this is what you're really hearing, like Chat GPT. They can not only analyze and understand and make predictions, now they can generate their own responses based on previous experience and make decisions more frequently for themselves and really understand the outcome. And they're learning from examples, but in their words, experiences. And once we get do a deeper dive into LLMs, or large language models, which text generation, reasoning, code generation, it's this is an amazing, really a revolutionizing. This is um, a type of generative AI, because now, for the first time, you don't have to be a programmer to fully understand and communicate with computers or do a programming language like AIX. I mean, I don't know why I'm talking about IBM, but the truth is that there's many different operating system, programming languages, and now, for the first time, using large language models, you can communicate with human language, or um, basically saying in simple terms, with a computer, and computer can understand what you're asking for, and they can design it, create it. And basically, starting with ChatGPT, which was a um, text generation, AI, generative AI at the beginning. Now it can do a lot more than that. Now it can create images, but at first it was text generation, code generation, helping you how to write code. And now there are new LLM models that they can understand and write code, or build and develop applications based on the language that you're talking to. And they don't only speak English, you can translate this to any language in the world. And now the computers are completely understanding you. Then, in addition to large language models, LLMs, which are the most popular, and probably what you're familiar with ChatGPT, there are now image generation models, and audio generation models, and video generation models, which can not only understand this information, like we were talking about, on structured data, that, let's say this is a cat or that's a dog. Previously they could just identify it. Now they can create an image, a cat or a dog sitting on a wall, and they can identify these images, and they can create them. They can create audio. They can create videos now, based on everything they have been learning, and based on all the deep learning they have been doing from your machine learning, having all this structured data together. And now they're being able to generate data, and soon they'll be able to generate more AI and AI models. And we're going to actually do a deeper dive into that, AI models and agentic AIs. But that is all I have for today. And please stay with me for future lectures. We're going to talk more about, get into more details, and talk more about what each of these categories really mean, and how what they could mean to you in your actual life. Well, thank you so much, everyone, and y'all have a great day.